This is the newsroom on CNN Philippines. Tonight, Senator Antonio Trillanes now out on bail over a revived rebellion case. Hope dims for signs of life in the Cebu and Benguet landslides. Workers retrieve more bodies from the rubble. And on a lighter note, celebrity couple Ding Dong Dantes and Marian Rivera's new bundle of joy. The happy news later. Hello and welcome. I'm Ruth Cabal. Thanks for joining us. We begin with this developing story. Senator Antonio Trillanes out on bail for his rebellion case at the Makati Regional Trial Court. Trillanes paid 200,000 pesos at the Makati RTC Branch 150 after undergoing booking procedures at the Makati Police Station. The court earlier issued an arrest warrant and a whole departure order against him, granting a petition from the Justice Department. Here's that video uploaded by the Senate on its social media page. It shows the moment police officials serving the warrant to Senator Trillanes. The court said it found factual and legal basis for President Duterte's proclamation that voided the former Navy lieutenant's amnesty as he failed to comply with the requirements. As a consequence, the court notes the revocation of the amnesty voids the dismissal of his rebellion case in connection with a move to topple the Arroyo administration over a decade ago. The amnesty was granted in 2011.
Wala po kasi na-present si Senator na hard copy of the amnesty application, which is the basis of President Duterte for a revocation of the amnesty granted by the former President Aquino.
Trillanes, however, maintains he applied for amnesty and admitted his guilt. But while he respects the decision of the court, Trillanes insists this is nothing but pure harassment by the administration.
Message to President Duterte.
Sana pinapanood niya yung proseso kasi balang araw pagdadaanan din niya.
Okay.
The prosecution will present new evidence on why he should be jailed on his rebellion case on November 21st. Trillanes may be facing a tougher challenge as the Justice Department still has a pending motion for an arrest warrant against him before another Makati court. This is about his non-bailable coup d'etat case. Trillanes says for now, he will remain in the Senate. It's now up to Judge Bartolome Soriano of Makati RTC Branch 148 that handled the coup d'etat case against Trillanes whether he would put the senator behind bars. Acting Prosecutor General Richard Fadulyon tells CNN Philippines they expect the resolution on this case next week.
Hindi pa naman ho tapos yung proseso dun sa 148, no? It takes a longer time kasi mas parang napabilis itong kay Judge Elmo Alameda for the reason that he set it for hearing, he heard oral arguments, and right there, right then, he asked us to mark our evidence already. And on the basis of that, rule on the evidence that we submitted. As far as RTC Branch 148, there are still exchanges of pleadings that are going on. And we hope to see the case be resolved also, at least our motion will be resolved also not later than next week po.
Senate President Tito Soto describes the turnover of Trillanes to the police as orderly. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Soto says Trillanes made good on his promise to face the warrant.
I knew that he was going to face the warrant because that was what he promised me. That as long as there is a warrant, he will face it.
Well, that's what happened.
So that's what happened. We didn't have actually any official dialogue with anyone. We just followed what was the SOP, so to speak. We just followed the SOP and everything turned out fine. We did not have any prior dialogue with any of the officials of the Philippine National Police.
Soto adds it is up to Trillanes if he chooses to remain in the Senate. What do you think about our top story tonight? Send us a message about the arrest of Senator Trillanes at CNN Philippines. We're also live on Facebook. We'll read your comments at the end of the show. Moving on to another story, the death toll keeps rising in Naga City, Cebu after a deadly landslide. 60 dead, 18 injured, and 28 still missing. Local officials are also dealing with thousands of evacuees from landslide-prone communities. Today, emotions ran high as locals condemn quarrying in their communities.
They are the residents of the village of Tinaan, where the ground zero of the landslide is located, and other nearby villages where the local quarry company operate. residents cried and screamed their frustration in front of the City Hall of Naga, Cebu. They also stormed the office of Cemex Corporation, whose subsidiary, Apple Land and Quarry Corporation, holds mining rights in the city. Some of these protesters come from Barangay Pangdan, where a quarrying site is located. The quarry operation in the mountain there began in December last year. Now, the open pit is as deep as 60 feet. Residents say they also found cracks on the mountainside. Yung likod ng bahay nyo, ano na dyan yung nakikita?
Yung ano na po, doon sa nanggaling sa quarry, tapos inano lang po kami ng gihayan. Tapos nang bayran ang balay og 10,000. Ya amo mama di mo sugot, tapos ya amo nang may anti dyan.
These protesters say the government's 15-day ban on quarrying is not enough. They want an end to all quarrying activities in their community. The city of Naga ordered a preemptive evacuation of all residents living within the 1-kilometer radius from the landslide site, including residents from Grey Rocks. They may also need to relocate. Residents insist the quarry company should leave, not them. City of Naga Mayor Christine Chiong appeals for sobriety. Responding to the residents' plea, she says they are waiting for the order from environment officials.
So my stand is the DNR, if the law will say that the activities of this certain company is not compliant, that they are, since they are not compliant, na pwede sila ma-close, then why not?
The quarry company deferred answering our questions on its dispute with the residents of Sitio Grey Rocks. The company says it is focusing its efforts on helping landslide victims. In Naga City, Cebu, Makoy Pupioko, CNN Philippines.
We now go to Itogon, Benguet, where search operations shifted modes today. Trisha Terada reports.
Today marks the 11th day since the search, rescue, and retrieval operation started here at Barangay Ukab, Itogon, Benguet. Authorities say they have finally reached the portal after they removed mud and debris reaching up to 10 meters high. It's a huge tunnel which was one of the main targets of the rescuers because they believe that some residents could have sought refuge into this portal. But unfortunately, the regional disaster chief says there are no more signs of life. All they heard were drops of water trickling from inside the portal, and so far they discovered or recovered 2 bodies outside the portal, while 1 was retrieved inside.
Kung may buhay doon, magbibigay sila ng signal because they can hear that something is going on sa labas. Like yung tunog ng bulldozer at saka yung tumatama yung machine. They must have shown their presence inside if there are people dead inside.
With this development, Political Affairs Secretary Francis Tolentino and the regional disaster officers have decided to focus their efforts from rescue to retrieval. Tolentino has also ordered the Regional Social Welfare Department to inform the families about the news and to start with a psychosocial counseling immediately. Reporting from Itogon, Benguet, Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.
You're watching the newsroom on CNN Philippines. Critics say the president is being paranoid, but the military insists there is a plot to oust him. Details next. Be right back. Facebook Live, hello to those who are watching us. Si Johnny Senangote, Redentor Galzote, watching from Jeddah. Ayan, si Nestor Apinan, Eunice Joy Garcia, si Ernest Palomar is watching from Houston. Ayan. You can write your comments about our top story. It's still about the arrest and then of Senator Antonio Trillanes. Well, he's out on bail now after paying 200,000 pesos, but he says he will just stay at the Senate because there's still another case against him. The DOJ still has another motion in another court. Ito naman for coup d'etat case against Trillanes. So they're also asking for the issuance of a warrant and a hold departure order, which means he can't leave the country. Also, you can write your comments here and then we will read some of your comments later. Also, some of the other stories that are coming up, we have yung sinasabi nilang alleged ouster plot against President Duterte. We'll see what the military has to say about that. Also, there are reports the president was linking the Liberal Party and then the Communists to that alleged plot. So let's see what the Liberal Party has to say about that. They had a press conference or an event this morning, and the former President Aquino was there. So we'll tell you all about that. And then we have more entertainment stories. The latest announcement from Marian Rivera and Ding Dong Dantes, and also yung mga mahilig sa Korean bands. Ang BTS was the first band to address the United Nations. So we'll tell you what they have to say when they were at the UN early today, or was that yesterday? More people are writing their comments. Hello to Chuzi Alfred, to Jooms Creed, watching from Legazpi Albay. Si Liwu G, ayan. Denso Orellana naman, hello Iligan. Guillermo JB Ariola, and then Y Aguilar is watching from Cebu. You're back in the newsroom on CNN Philippines. President Duterte is on guard for possible attempts to oust him from office, but critics are saying he's just being overly suspicious. Our senior correspondent David Santos tells us how the military is reacting.
The armed forces on the defensive, responding to comments it has become paranoid with critics of President Duterte.
Definitely not. Any threat to national security like this cannot be treated with a running mode.
The AFP recently said it had evidence the communist movement was tapping the political opposition to help overthrow Mr. Duterte, but the alliance fell through. No other details were given, like when and where the plot was hatched and who specifically were behind it.
Propaganda, we're not engaged in propaganda. We are here for truth. What we are presenting to you are facts.
Brigadier General Antonio Parlade was among the AFP officials who spoke about the Duterte ouster moves. He has no qualms about expressing his admiration for the Commander-in-Chief.
For the first time, we have a realist president. Sana matulungan natin ang ating presidente who's working so hard.
Parlade lashing out at the president's critics, including what he calls the libertarians, for refusing to accept the gains of the Duterte administration, such as cleaning up Boracay and going after tax-cheating oligarchs.
And then, we have a president who is addressing this. Sasabihin niyo masamang tao? Of course. Kasi nandun yung comfort zone niyo for 31, now 32 years. Ganun ang sitwasyon natin. But when you say nasasaktan ng tao, no, it's not the common tao. The common tao is very happy with the president. That's why he got a very high mandate.
AFP insiders say many others share Parlade's sentiments but choose to be discreet. Rebel soldier turned legislator Gary Alejano, however, warns against statements like these, calling it taboo in the military.
Very sensitive yan, no? Anong implication sa baba? You can appease some, but definitely you can offend some. Kasi ano bang ginagawa nito? Namumulitika na ba yung armed forces?
But a defiant Parlade stands by his comments, even if netizens call him a brown-noser, fawning over the president to be on his good side.
I don't mind kung DDS, I don't even ask the president kung kilala. Hindi niya ako kilala. I don't know people from Davao. I was assigned in Central Mindanao but not in Davao. Wala akong Davao group.
Sa akin lang, maingat lang sila sa pagsasalita because it will impact the organization on how people will look at the organization.
The public indeed is keeping an eye on its armed forces and wasting public trust it has worked so hard to regain through the years may be the last the AFP would want. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Vice President Leni Robredo and former President Noynoy Aquino hit those saying the Liberal Party is part of an ouster plot against President Duterte. Robredo questions the source of the military's information. Our Anjo Alimario has more.
At first, she found it funny that her name was dragged into the ouster plot against President Rodrigo Duterte. But when the military tagged Vice President Leni Robredo as part of the Red October plan, she was no longer laughing.
Kasi ako na magsasabi na kasinungalingan yung impormasyon na yun. Walang-wala kaming relationship, pag-uusap. with the Communist Party of the Philippines.
Robredo says linking the Liberal Party to a destabilization plot is dangerous.
Ayaw nating mangyari yung nangyari na nung nakaraan na parang pinaghandaan yung pagdedeklara ng martial law para lang ma-silence yung opposition, para patayin yung dissent.
The armed forces cited classified documents to support its claim that the CPP-NPA is pushing for a strategic alliance with government critics to remove the president. But Robredo isn't convinced.
Kasi pag sinabi sa atin na ang basihan intelligence, ay may problema yung bansa natin. Kasi hindi yun totoo eh. Kung sinasabi mong intelligence yun, gusto bang sabihin na yung impormasyon na pinangahawakan ng mga matataas na opisyal ng ating pamahalaan ay hindi totoo?
Former President Noynoy Aquino also questions the military's information.
Ako ba sasama doon sa mga nagpahirap sa mga kababayan ko nung ginulo yung Luisita noong 2004? Hindi ginulo lang yung nasa loob eh. Ang ginulo yung buong ekonomiya ng Tarlac. Kakampihan ko sila. Parang sinabi ko rin sa mga kababayan ko, iwan ko kay lahat.
Aquino says the burden of proof lies with the accusers. Robredo and Aquino attended the National Executive Council meeting of the Liberal Party, where 3 party members were announced as part of its Senate lineup for next year's elections. Senator Bam Aquino, De La Salle College of Law Dean Shell Jokno, and former Deputy Speaker Erin Tañada. Aquino and Robredo say more names will be included in the party slate as the deadline for filing of candidacy nears. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
A few days before the voters' registration ends, alleged supporters of 2 political groups in CI towns in Zamboanga, Sibugay clashed just outside a local COMELEC office. The commotion resulted to the mauling of at least 2 supporters of a political leader. CI Mayor Jarvis Acosta accuses the group of his prospective rival of bringing in flying voters from other places to register in their town. Acosta says this angered some residents who confronted his rival's group. His rival Maridel Alcantara says her supporters were harassed and were prevented from registering. Police visibility has already been increased in the COMELEC area for the remaining days of the voter registration to prevent similar incident. The registration for the May 2019 midterm elections will end on Saturday. Police recovered explosives and other paraphernalia from a hideout of an ISIS-inspired group in Polomolok, South Cotabato. The subject of the police raid, a certain Jeffrey Tuanadatu Nilong, however, escaped during the raid. Nilong's group is suspected of committing atrocities in Socsargen region. Officials of Ligao City in Albay are building a 100-hectare bamboo plantation for sustainable and alternative natural resource. At present, the city has maintained a 2-hectare bambusiram park at Kawakawa Nature Park. The park has more than 35,000 bamboos of 16 different varieties. The city is planning to use bamboo for its Christmas decorations to promote the tallest grass. Recently, the city joined the World Bamboo Day celebration, where they presented some bamboo-made products like furniture and food and also charcoal. Albay has many local names of bamboo like Rogyan, Marurugi, Botong, Omlang, and Kabulwan. Prices of other basic goods getting more expensive, and the government is looking for ways to bring prices down as soon as possible. Our senior correspondent Ina Andolong tells us just how officials plan to do it.
Expect markets to be flooded with imported agricultural products soon. President Duterte has signed an administrative order which eases the import process for items like pork, chicken, rice, and fish. He also ordered additional volumes of rice and fish imports. The government hopes to flood markets with supply to help pull prices down.
Kinakailangan po padaliin ang proseso ng pag-accredit ng mga nag-aangkat ng mga pagkain ito. I-exempt na po natin yung mga nag-aangkat na accredited na from further registration. Pwede pa tayo mag-angkat ng mas marami. At kung kinakailangan, tanggalin po lahat ng mga fees na binabayaran.
This order comes with directives to different agencies to make sure that efforts to lower prices of commonly consumed goods are not hampered. Concerned agencies, including the Philippine National Police, were tasked to make sure that once imports arrive at ports, they are brought without delay to markets. President Duterte also ordered the Agriculture and Trade Departments to find ways for farmers to directly sell their products in markets. This will do away with middlemen and traders who contribute additional costs. And to the National Food Authority, the president wants all its available stocks released. Malacanang says this should flood the market with 330,000 metric tons of government stocks by the end of the year. These will be on top of the earlier ordered rice imports of at least 500,000 metric tons.
Babantayan po natin kapag hindi nakarating sa merkado yan. So yung mga nagpaplano po na i-divert na naman ng NFA rice at wag dalhin sa merkado, nako, inatasan na po ang pulis, inatasan na po ang lahat na subaybayan na yung pag-release ng NFA.
Presidential spokesman Harry Roque seems to be taking a swipe at former NFA Administrator Jason Aquino, who allegedly used 5 billion pesos in NFA funds intended for rice stocks to pay off the agency's debt.
Kung walang magfa-file, ako mismo magfa-file at hindi lang for technical malversation. Fa-file lang ko rin siya ng graft. Alam ko po, maraming natutukso na habang meron silang discretion dyan, may pagkakataon na magkapera. Tigilan nyo na po yan.
With Administrative Order 13, private traders will also be allowed to import rice, in effect, breaking the NFA's monopoly. Ina Andolong, CNN Philippines.
More stories from the newsroom. The United Nations General Assembly gets a taste of K-pop. And one Transformer gets his big break on the big screen. The latest in entertainment after the break. Marlon Pelaez Peña, Jake Regala, Flor Halmasco, si Fern Bonito III, Emmy Romero, Lantan. You can still send in your comments about our top story, yung arrest ni kay Senator Trillanes and his posting of bail for rebellion charges. We will be reading some of your comments later before the end of the newscast. And we have more stories coming up. We have we'll give you an update on the peso. Again, bumagsak na naman yung peso. It was the lowest in 13 years, but it recovered a bit. But still lower than yesterday. Also, we have an update in entertainment. Marami tayong entertainment stories. We got the latest announcement from Ding Dong Dantes and Marian Rivera. Also, some movie previews and the BTS, yung Korean group who gave a speech at the United Nations in New York. So we'll tell you all about that. Hello to Nestor Apinan, si Elneb Vilbar, ayan, and also Hermie Arandia. They're watching on Facebook Live. You can still send in your comments and we'll read it before the end of the show. Thanks for staying with us here in the newsroom. The peso dipped to an intraday low of 54 pesos and 50 centavos against the dollar in today's spot market, its lowest level in nearly 13 years. However, a last-minute jump helped the currency recover, ending trade at 54 pesos and 31 centavos to a dollar. This is still weaker than yesterday's close of 54.23. Meanwhile, local shares joined the downturn in most Asian stocks over jitters on U.S. tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods that take effect this week. The PSE index fell by almost 2%, closing at 73.32, with all sub-indices in the red. BDO Capital President Ed Francisco tells CNN Philippines he expects the peso to strengthen if the Bangko Sentral will raise interest rates again in its policy meeting on Thursday, and if the U.S. Federal Reserve will keep its rates steady. He also expects local stocks to likely stay within a favorable range this week, even as the U.S.-China trade war intensifies. President Duterte's trust and approval ratings down in the latest Pulse Asia survey. Mr. Duterte's rating went down 13 points from 88% in June to 75% now. His trust rating also fell 15 points from 87 to 72%. Despite the dips in his numbers, President Duterte still holds the highest approval rating among top government officials. He has a 75% approval rating, followed by Senate President Tito Soto with 73%. In third place is Vice President Leni Robredo with 61%, followed by Acting Supreme Court Chief Justice Antonio Carpio. Mr. Duterte also holds the highest trust rating. He's followed by Robredo, Soto, House Speaker Gloria Arroyo, and Acting Chief Justice Carpio. Pulse Asia carried out its latest poll from September 1st to 7th among over 1,000 respondents. In entertainment, a new bundle of joy is on the way for celebrity couple Marian Rivera and Ding Dong Dantes. Marian reveals on Instagram that she and her husband are expecting their second child. She shares this photo of her sonogram and says the family of 3 is looking forward to meeting their little ones soon. She, however, did not specify the gender of the baby or when she's due to give birth. Ding Dong, meanwhile, uses the pregnancy announcement to also reveal that he has no plans to run in next year's elections. In a lengthy post, he says that while he was considering running for office, he instead chose to support Marian's pregnancy. Ding Dong and Marian are parents to 2-year-old Maria Leticia. Korean boy band BTS makes history on the global stage as it speaks before the United Nations. The 7-member group took the floor at the Generation Unlimited event hosted by UNICEF. But it was the group's leader Kim Namjoon, also known as RM, who addressed the diplomats and leaders, including South Korean First Lady Kim Jong-suk. In the nearly 7-minute speech, RM talked about his struggles growing up and even as a member of BTS. Here's a part of that speech.
We have learned to love ourselves. So now I urge you to speak yourself. I like to ask all of you, what is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your conviction. No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself.
BTS was formed in 2013, is now one of the most popular Korean bands in the world with more than 13 million followers on Instagram. And one friendship can change everything. That's the message of the newest trailer of the upcoming film Bumblebee. The action-adventure film looks at the origin of one of the stars of the hit movie Transformers. In the film, Bumblebee finds refuge in a junkyard where the yellow Volkswagen Beetle is discovered by teenager Charlie Watson, played by actress Haley Steinfeld. When Charlie revives the battle-scarred and broken-down car, she finds out Bumblebee is actually a robot. Here's a sneak peek.
This is how we stop them. You've got me. And I'm not going anywhere.
Bumblebee hits local cinemas January next year. And earlier we asked you about our top story. Senator Antonio Trillanes arrested for rebellion. Now he's out on bail. Y. Aguilar says early Christmas gift for the Filipino people. God bless Duterte. Chay Cabilla slams the Philippine justice system, calling it walang kwenta. Bibida Calvo says Trillanes should have just cooperated with the government to avoid all the hate he's getting now. Rufa Paigan asks why Trillanes is enjoying comfort at the Senate. She says ibalik sa kulungan yan and let him rot there. And finally, Lydia Indita Santos wants the government to focus on more important topics. She says, hay nako, mas matutuwa ako kung solve na ang traffic sa EDSA. Thank you very much for your comments. And that's the newsroom tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Ruth Cabal. Good evening.